Yes, guys, good morning. So, are you ready to start living your life with much more courage and much less fear? Remember, I've discussed this a lot of times before. It's impossible to be fearless, and we shouldn't focus on that because fear can't exist without courage, and courage can't exist without fear. So when people are trying to be fearless, they're actually trying to achieve something that's impossible. What we want to be doing is understanding how to be more courageous, and then there'll be less fear. Just like if we can have more positive thoughts, there'll be less negative thoughts. You can't be all of one thing. Now, this is going to sound a little bit morbid at the start of this training, but bear with me because death has been prominent this week, right across the media, some personal situations for me, and I want you to hold one thought. If you died tomorrow, 3 people I knew died last week, by the way, you would ultimately have a list of things when you would say, Jesus wept. If I'd known I was going to die tomorrow, I would have insert X. List of things that you would have done. Am I right? Good. Now hold that thought for this entire training. So the key to constantly doing hard things that make you feel really uncomfortable, really awkward, that one when you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die inside, is the key to becoming more courageous. You have to seek them out. I mean, there's 2 different sides to this, right? And it's not all about me, but my story is the only story that I have to tell trainings through. So having trained to get to 100 miles and then 200 miles, a marathon now seems like a walk in the park. Literally. Like I could go and run a marathon today, injury aside, very, very easily without any form of resistance. Now that might be the same for you with 5K or 10K, a 5K walk or a 10K walk, a half marathon or a marathon. It's not about the thing, it's just about where you're at. But when you've done very hard things that make you feel very, very uncomfortable, you then find other things that you used to find hard quite easy. Does that make sense? Like if you've done something that's made you feel so uncomfortable, all of a sudden something else that's maybe half of that doesn't feel quite so uncomfortable. Now, how we develop courage and have more courage and less fear comes down to choosing to do these things. If you choose to never do anything hard or uncomfortable, guess what? When discomfort and hard situations crop up, you're going to run a mile and you're going to find it very, very hard to deal with it because you've spent your whole life trying to avoid discomfort. You spend your whole life trying to avoid awkward conversations. The second one comes up, you're going to find it virtually impossible to have that awkward conversation. If you've spent your entire life avoiding the discomfort of stopping drinking, cleaning your eating up, going to the gym, exercising, being kind and compassionate to other people, dropping your story, all of a sudden when you have to, you're going to find it very, very difficult because you've become conditioned to that way. So how we can channel this, and some of this is going to make you laugh, is we have to seek out discomfort. Because if you don't seek out discomfort, it's going to find you anyway. If you don't seek out the discomfort of ending a toxic relationship, you're going to spend your whole life uncomfortable in one. If you don't seek out the discomfort of stopping drinking, you're going to have the discomfort of being an alcoholic who relies on alcohol. If you don't seek out the discomfort of overcoming anxiety, you're going to spend your whole life anxious. If you don't seek out the discomfort of starting to do things that make you feel more positive and more confident, you're going to spend your whole life being negative. If you don't seek out starting to understand patience and starting to use phrases like, I am patient and I have patience for everyone and I help all people, versus I don't have the patience for insert X, then you're going to spend your whole life in that place. So we have to seek it out. We have to force ourselves to go through it, because as we've said before, life is not a comfort-based experience. It's not a comfort-centric experience. We only grow and improve and get better by things that make us feel uncomfortable. Yet the reason why it's so hard is because our body and our minds are hardwired for safety, hardwired to do things that don't make us feel uncomfortable. Now, again, as I said, some of this is quite funny, some of it's quite serious. So we're going to roll with it. So what I want you to do is start to have a radar on this today and keep some notes on your phone. Because I guarantee you, both of these two things are actually cropping up every single day in your life. So the first thing is, every time you have an opportunity to do or say something that makes you feel uncomfortable, or you think, I can't say that, I can't do that, I can't ask her out, what if she rejects me? I can't ask my boss for a pay rise, what if he laughs at me? I can't look for a new career, I'm not good enough. I can't go into that gym, everyone's going to watch me. Do it. Keep a list and start doing it. Get comfortable being laughed at. Get comfortable being mocked. Get comfortable being judged. With love and respect, I couldn't give two hoots if you lot mock me, judge me, or laugh at me in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I hope you do, because it shows me that I'm being authentic. I have no attachment to people's opinions of me anymore. And I want you to do the same, because that's the key to being authentic. Now, this is the classic one, right? And I experienced this loads. Remember, this is a man who, yes, I might have won Elite X Man of the Year out of every single one of Paul Mort's clients, but I was also Elite X non-man of the moment who sat in the masterminds for 6 months, petrified to speak. Like, everyone would be going around the room and jamming and bouncing, and we're talking mindset and business and training, and I'd have this thing to say, and I'd be like, oh, no. What if they laugh? What if they mock you? What if they judge you? What if they laugh at you? I did that for 6 months. And I asked Paul about it. I said, it's almost like it reminds me of, this is a really, really bad example, right? And Pete was actually there, even worse example. But, you know, I never really understood why people smoked weed, okay? Because I did it a few times and it turned me into a mong, an absolute freaking mong. No. But it was a similar experience. So I'd be sat there in a room, right? An after party, and everyone's like chat. And like, I'd think of something to say. I only did it a few times, but I was that delayed that by the time I'd managed to gather my thoughts enough to say what I'd wanted to say, the conversation had moved on. And that was the same with this experience, like, but it was that overcoming fear, that overcoming judgment. And every time I'd want to say what I'd want to say in any circumstances, I'd overthought it that much that by the time it came to say it, fucking hell, the conversation had moved on to something else. So it's like, oh, I can't say that now because it's irrelevant. So this is something we all do to protect ourselves from being mocked, from being judged, and from being laughed at, because we don't want to feel uncomfortable, because we're hardwired for comfort. So the only way to do this, the only way to start living an authentic life, the only time to start being you is to practice it and go through it. Now, don't get this misconfused, right? Because I'm not talking about kind of starting aggressively being a dick and just voicing your loudmouth opinions at every opportunity you get. You still have to think, is what I'm about to say helpful? Is what I'm about to say kind and compassionate? Is what I'm about to say genuine? So I'm not saying, like, every time you think someone's being an arsehole, just like start telling them that they're an arsehole, because that doesn't lead anywhere. It's not going to make you feel good, and it's not going to make them feel good. So when I'm talking about what I'm going to go on to now, I'm still talking about in a positive fashion. So you still have to run a filter here. And I also believe this is a filter for life, and this is a filter definitely for social media, is what I'm about, the thoughts and opinions that I'm about to share, are they helpful to me, and are they helpful to the other person, and are they helpful to the world? If they're not, don't post them. Is there a kind and compassionate way I can express what I want to say, and there's meaning to it, and that's the reason why I'm saying it? Then yes. So when I'm talking about just when you feel you need to say something, say it. You can still do it from a kind and compassionate way. I'm not talking about just start causing wars because you want to be authentic and just say whatever's on your mind. Still run that theatre, that filter, okay? So there has to be a positive outcome to everything. Now, so when we're in this situation and we don't speak up in the relationship, and we don't speak up in the meeting at work, we don't speak up and say, actually, do you know what? No, I don't want to go and do that next weekend. I'm sorry, Pete. I know you've invited me to get dressed up as a flamenco and go to that dancing competition, but I'm really sorry. I don't want to do that. Rather than most people will go, oh yeah, I'll just go along with the flow because I don't want to upset Pete because he's invited me and it's important to me, so I'm going to spend my whole Saturday doing something that I don't want to do because I'm afraid. Hands up if you've done that. Hands up if you've been to weddings, nights out, social occasions, courses, done all sorts of stuff, because even though you're going, oh God, the text message comes through and you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't even like her. She absolutely drives me mad. They're so top. Do you want to? Yeah, I'll come. Yeah. Little yes boy. Yeah, me too. Spend your whole life being a walking doorbell for other people's agendas, doing shit that you don't like with people you'd rather choose not to spend time with, all because you're afraid of what the people that you don't really like and don't really want to spend time with might think if you don't. How ridiculous does it sound when you actually say it out loud? Okay? So, if you're doing this, if you're being me in Elite X and you're just not speaking up and you're hiding away because you're afraid, you're always going to have chaos in yourself, in your life. You're going to have chaos in your inner world, your head, and you're going to have chaos in your outer world because you're not being yourself. Like I said, it's not about just voicing unnecessary opinions and causing wars, but you have to be authentic. And if you're not authentic in your head, you won't be authentic in your life. And outer world always follows inner world. So we have to be okay in our head first and then okay outward. So, and remember, life isn't about being happy all the time. Life isn't about being comfortable. Life isn't about never being challenged, mocked, judged, and laughed at. I want to be challenged, mocked, judged, and laughed at. Because it shows that I'm being authentic. If I'm not, I'm probably not. So it's actually a good sign that you're probably winning. So life's not about being happy, it's about being authentic. We've done a full training on that if you want to go back on it. So, in order to do this, and live this unbreakable life that we all want, you have to kill two things. Who knows what they are? If you can post them in the comments before I get to them, you are Speedy Gonzalez. So if we want to live our best ever life, be the best possible version of ourselves, achieve everything that we want and more, get the girl or boy, get the job, go travel the places, have fun, be authentic, live life on your terms. We have to kill two things. Number one, fear of rejection. Hands up virtually if you struggle with fear of rejection. Yes, David Steen with the t-shirt on. And secondly, Jan Turner, I don't think you struggle with this. You have to stop caring what people think about you. Like I said, honestly, as long as I'm authentic with love and respect, I don't give two hoots what any of you think about me. If I did, I wouldn't even be able to turn up and do these live videos. I wouldn't be able to talk. Because I'd be thinking, oh God, can I say that? Oh, what if that upsets Jan? Oh, what if I say that and that upsets Stephen? Oh, what if that offends Dave? Oh, what if Pete gets annoyed because I've shared that he likes dancing in pink flamenco outfits? Never get anywhere. Be stuck living someone else's life. So when you can kill your fear of rejection, which we're going to come on to, and when you can kill your need of goop, swimming around in the good opinion of other people, you will start living a courageous, fearless, authentic life. Dave, just to rehash you just because you've just come on and anyone else. So the thought I said to hold at the start, like right across the media, death's been so prominent this week. And I actually know 3 reasonably close people who have died in the last 7 days. Now, the point that I'm getting across without that being morbid is if you and I died today, we would ultimately look back and create a list and be like, Jesus wept. If I'd known I was going to die on Monday, the 21st of October, I would have, and we would have a long list of shit that we would have done. From things that we would have said to people, girls or boys that we would have asked out, girls for me, boys for you, and everything in between. Places we would have travelled, things we would have said to our kids, people we maybe would have apologised to, goals we would have gone for, places we would have visited. So create that list now, and then I'm going to come back to it, or start to have that mentally on your radar. And I'll tell you a little story at the end as well. So, back to the point. 2 things to live a world-class, unbreakable life. Get rid of fear of rejection, get rid of caring what other people think. It's not easy. So, what we're going to talk about next is intuition. So how many times have you had a thought of wanting to do something? Jesus, she's hot. Shall I ask her out? No. Don't be daft. You never get a girl like that. Oh, I've always wanted to start that business. I could never do that. Oh, I wonder if I could send him an email. See if he's interested in my services. No, he's already a multimillionaire. He won't be interested in talking to me. Insert anything, right? This will happen in daily life. You'll probably, see people even post something on social media that you might be able to comment on and help them with. In fact, I would put forward that probably happens every day. Yet you don't send the message, you don't send the email, you don't go for the job, you don't ask the question, you don't do any of the things because you have 2 things. 1, fear of rejection. 2, you care what people think. This is why people in social media, AJ, this is massive for you. Don't do the social media post. Don't write the email. Don't send the letter. Don't send the text message. 2 things, fear of rejection, caring about what people think. Every single time. Until we can get rid of those two things, we'll never ever live the life that we want. So, as I said, it might be a new career, it might be asking a boy or girl out, it might be starting a new business, it might be any of those things. But your mind subconsciously sabotages your dream life, sometimes within seconds of you having that thought. Put your hand up virtually if that sounds familiar. You literally think something, oh man, I want to do that. And like the little fucker, excuse my language, within seconds, nah, you can't do that. Don't be daft. She'll say no. He'll say no. Sorry, Pippa. You guys should know by now. Right? Within milliseconds. Sometimes it then might be minutes, it then might be hours, it then might be days, and then we just go back to doing the same old things, having the same old thoughts that lead to the same old beliefs, that lead to the same old behaviours, which lead to the same old personality, which lead to the same old personal reality of life. We know this. I'm going to come on to that again. Same thoughts, same beliefs, same behaviours, same life, but only 100% of the time. So that little voice that says you're not good enough, you can't run that far, you can't have that business, you can't make that much money, you can't have a girl like that, you can't have a boy like that, unicorns aren't interested in you, X, Y, and Z. And it drags you back to your low-level, mediocre life and says, no, don't do that. Stay here, it's safe. Stay here and you won't get rejected. Stay here and you won't have to worry about what people think about you. Now, here is the thing that will change your life. So listen the F up right now. That voice is not real. That voice is not you. That voice is your ego. Every time you have intuition about something that you want to do and something tells you not, that is your ego. And it's based on a memory of the past. That you got rejected once before and you didn't like the way it made you feel, so you're not going to risk it again. That you did something before and people mocked you, judged you and laughed at you and you didn't like the way that it made you feel, so you're not going to do it again. If you want to keep running that pattern, you're on a one-way road to absolutely nowhere apart from misery and mediocrity. You are not that person. You are not that voice. You are the person who can be, do, and have anything that you want. Anything. Absolutely anything. The intuition, the thought to do, the desire, that's you. That is you. The sabotaging thought that stops you is your ego. So ego isn't what you think. Ego is the enemy. Ryan Holiday's written a full book called Ego is the Enemy. I'd recommend you read it. In fact, read anything by Ryan Holiday. He also wrote The Obstacle is the Way. Incredibly intelligent guy. So that sabotaging thought is your ego. So stop listening to your ego and start listening to your intuition. Tattoo that down somewhere in paper, on the backs of your eyelids, across your chest, or anywhere in between, and remember it. Start listening to your intuition, i.e. what you just think and want to do, and stop listening to the self-sabotaging ego that stops your intuition about the way that you think and tells you that you're not good enough because you're afraid and you don't want to be rejected. And here's a phrase to remember as well. Go back to one of those situations, right? Those awkward, uncomfortable situations when you maybe did something and you wanted to die, right? Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I literally wanted to die. That's not you dying. That's your ego. And that's why you should do things that make you feel like you want to die. That you think, I can't do that, everyone's going to think I'm weird. I can't do that because everyone X. I can't do that because other people's opinions Y. I can't do that because I'll look X, Y, and Z. Anytime when you get that awkward feeling, when it's so embarrassing, you feel so embarrassed, that's your ego dying. So it's not that I wanted to die inside, that's your ego dying. And we want your ego to die. Because if not, do you know how many people will live the rest of their entire life unhappy, miserable, playing at low level lives with low level people, being completely mediocre because they didn't have the courage to follow their dreams, because they were afraid of what other people might say, or they were afraid of failure. I reckon that's about 95% of people. 95% of people don't say what they want to say because they're afraid of what people think. They don't do what they want to do because they're afraid of what people think. Let me ask you this. If you knew you were dead, would you have gone for the job? If you knew you were going to die today, would you have asked the boy or girl out? If you knew that you were going to die today, would you have apologized to the person that your stubbornness is stopping you from doing? If you knew you were going to die today, would you maybe have told the person how you feel about them? Or would you have got, nah, I can't do that, too awkward, too uncomfortable, it's triggering me, don't feel comfortable with that, haven't got the headspace right now, man, I was going to do all these things in my life, but I didn't have the headspace, now I'm dead. Oh, hey ho. Morbid, but it's right. I want it to be morbid because I want it to get you into action. So how do we destroy this voice? How do we destroy that self-sabotaging voice that takes away your intuition, your dreams, your desires, your goals, your aspirations, and stops you living the life that you want? Well, first of all, you have to understand that it only comes from you having an inappropriate need to be liked, to be loved, to feel like you're enough, to not be rejected. And as you know from the trainings, you already are. It simply comes down to caring too much about what other people think, caring about what your ex thinks, caring about what your friends think, your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your dad, your mother. That's the song. Your unicorn, your dog. You care so much about what they think that you don't go after your dreams. Screw that. So what happens is you just try to be normal. Hands up if you've tried to, let's go back to school. Hands up if you tried to be normal. Hands up if you tried to fit in. Of course we do. Tribe mentality. We don't want to be rejected. Maybe sometimes it's not even, it's what society sees as normal. No, I can't do that. You can. And when you do, you will start to live a different life. So this is something else that I wrote down and I thought this is so powerful. So when you're trying to be normal based on what other people or society think, you're actually sabotaging your own dreams and your own life. Now, the only thing worse than betraying someone else, the only thing worse than betraying someone that you love is by betraying yourself. Betraying yourself by not following your dreams. Betraying yourself by not, excuse me, betraying yourself by not going after what you want. Betraying your, every time you're not authentic, you're cheating on yourself. Every time you're not authentic, I don't know, Pete. It's a good job you can't see the, it's a good job you can't see the, I don't know what you're doing there, mate, but I know I'm a good looking guy, but that is a bit much in front of everybody else on a live video. Anyway, anyone watching this on playback who can't see the cameras is going to be like, what the freaking hell is Pete doing? Pete, maybe try and refresh your screen. Can't even fucking come. There we go. Woo! Was that a canoe in your pocket, mate? Or are you just pleased to see me on this live? Anyway, let's get back to this serious trading. So, every time you don't follow your intuition, every time you don't follow your dreams, every time you don't do the thing, you're betraying yourself. No one likes being betrayed. So what I want you to do this week is practice expressing your dreams to anyone that's willing to listen. Tell them about what you want. Tell them about how you want your life to look. If you've been looking at a new career, start going for the new career. If there's a girl or a boy that you've been thinking about asking out, ask them out today. If there's a conversation you've been needing to have with your partner or within your business or your job, have that conversation today. If there's somebody that you should have said sorry to, go and say sorry to them today. Whatever is going on in your life that is making you feel awkward and uncomfortable and you're holding yourself back from doing, even though the intuition is saying, do it, before the ego comes in and says, nah, don't do that, you're not good enough. Stop betraying yourself and go after what you want. So to also purposely do things where people are going to mock you, judge you and laugh at you. Purposely comment on things, still being positive and kind and compassionate. But if there's something comes up and you think you want to voice it, voice it. Practice this. This is such a skill that you have to practice. And you have to get good at it like anything. So just practice being your weird, authentic and wonderful self every day. Because the right people will love the weird, wonderful and authentic you. And the other people don't matter. Because here's what it comes back to again. Other people's opinions are none of your business. Let's go back to all of us being dead and looking back at that list. Oh man, I would have done that, but I was too worried about what she'd think, so I didn't. Screw that. Now the reality also is, when you're terrified of being your true self, when you're terrified of going after what you want, when you're terrified of just diving in and going for it, as you know you would if it was the 21st of October and it was the last day of your life, it's almost always because we're worried about how we'll look or that someone may think badly of us. Someone thinking badly of you is none of your business. They're entitled to their opinions just like you're entitled to yours. Your opinions are none of their business and their opinions are none of your business. When you nail that, you'll start to live freer than ever before. Because there's two ways you can look at it. One is your ego, almost 100%. They actually probably don't care enough about you to give that much of a fuck about you that you're even on their radar, yet you're still not doing things because of them. And even if they do, so what? She's going to have this opinion of me if I go after my dreams. So what? He's going to think this if I stand up and say that. So what? If I say, no, I'm not going to that wedding, he's going to think that. So what? One, he either probably won't. Two, if he does, so what? Because the thing is as well, when you are truly authentic, people are actually jealous of your authenticity. That's why they pull you down. When you're actually going after your dreams, you're trying to make the money, you're trying to get the deal, you want the house, you want the life, you want the holidays, you want the relationship, you fucking want it all. And you're going after it relentlessly. Guess what? People who aren't are going to get triggered to fuck. Because you are living the life that they truly wish they could. Jan, this has happened with you on multiple times. We know this now. You start going after what you want and people living mediocre lives don't like it, because you're holding up a mirror and you're showing them what they've still not found the strength to do. So just do it, because the right people will love and support you and the other people don't matter. So start to do the most awkward and uncomfortable things you can possibly do every day to train this muscle. Whatever you're not doing, do it. Because when you do it, you'll actually feel amazing. Do the Facebook post, send the text message, go for the job, start planning to do the business, sign up for the course, book the holiday, ask the girl out. Just do it. Because when you do it and you realize that nothing bad actually happened, one, you'll feel amazing. And even if, listen to this, because this is, I've not got a mic, but we'll do a pen. This is a pen drop moment. Dave jumped out of his skin. Even if you die of embarrassment, guess what? You didn't die of embarrassment, your ego did. And when your ego dies, you'll start to live an authentic life. It's not you dying of embarrassment. It's the ego that's been holding you back. It's the fear of what people think that's holding you back. It's the worry about being mocked, judged, and laughed at. That's what's dying. So what do you want to live on? Do you want the ego to live on that stops you doing things because you're going to die of embarrassment? Or do you want the fear of embarrassment to die? Because that's what happens every time you do the thing that makes you feel awkward and uncomfortable. It's not you that dies of embarrassment, it's your ego. You live on and start to grow your confidence muscle. You live on and start to grow your authenticity muscle. You live on and start to grow your, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks because I'm going after my dreams. Watch, learn, whatever. This is my life. I'm in charge of my destiny and I'm going after it. And I'm that focused on it that I've forgotten that anyone's even watching. That's what lives on every time you do the thing that you haven't been doing because you think you're going to die of embarrassment. You live, your ego dies. So start kicking the shit out of your ego every day, because your ego will hold you back. That's why that book is called Ego is the Enemy. So when we're going back now and thinking about death, and like I said, I know it's morbid, but what really matters? That's what we need to talk about. And I was on I don't know if you guys ever know about this story. I was on it's on one of Peter's podcasts. Long time ago, there were a rugby team that died, almost all died in an airline crash. They had to literally start eating the dead bodies to try and stay alive. And I think it was it Uganda? I can't remember. But the part of the story was that they still had some radio comms, but they couldn't radio back out. And after the search party had been going on for about 7 or 8 weeks, I think, they actually heard on the radio that the search was being called off. Everybody was presumed dead. I'll find out this guy and post it in the group. Anyway, but 2 of the guys were still alive and they'd survived off of eating basically their dead teammates who were still in their rugby kit. And they actually made it out. And I think it took them, again, I'm not sure this is all completely right, but you'll get the point. I think it took them nearly 3 months to get wherever they ended up getting and being rescued. Now, obviously, the story of the guy is when he came back to real life, he saw what his life would have looked like if he was dead. His partner had moved on. All his stuff was boxed up. His house had been sold. And the story is, it made him focus on what really matters. What really matters in life. So it's almost going back to what I said at the start. You're seeing your whole life and then you're thinking, man, what would I have done? And now I've got another chance. So live like that today. Because you don't want to be living looking back saying, man, I wish I had. Man, if I'd known that were going to happen, I would have done Y. I would have said this to this person. Or even the other way, if I'd have known someone else was going to die, I would have done X, Y, and Z. Just do the thing. So whatever the things are today that are holding you back from living the life that you desire, make a list and just go and do them. All of them. And like I say, it sounds morbid, but just start living every day like it's your last. Because the reality is, for every single one of us, it could be. So let's just go do the thing. Listen to the intuition, kick the shit out of the ego, and go live life on your terms. Guys, I love you all.